Hey everybody, this is Grace. Pardon the way that the camera is, the mount doesn't stay up. But anyway, in this video I'm going to tell a story of my own, of something that happened to me. I don't even know how many years ago it was. I think it was, might have been around 10 years ago. Okay. And it's a long story, but the way it started off was there was this woman. I went to do some volunteer work, and at a really, really nice place, okay? And I'm going to leave out some of the details. But there was a woman there. She was very nice, you know, she was kind of nice. She was a little older than I, and she did have a kind of like a sense of superiority. Now, both of us, she and I, had master's degrees in different fields, but kind of similar in a way. And she kind of had like a little bit of a sense of superiority. And anyway, she suggested, with job she was doing, she suggested that I go and try to get into that job, that, do the job myself. Well, long story, but I'll make it short as I can. But so I went through this other agency, and from it I wasn't really thrilled at the same time. But I had to go to get a certification. Okay, now I had to go through classes, and I don't remember how long the classes were. It could have been up to 18 weeks, but it was 1 day a week. I think they had a day off here and there. We had a day off, I don't know, or a week off. It was only 1 day a week for 8 hours, okay? And just one. And for, like I said, it could have been up to 18 weeks, however long it was. And of course, you 8 hours, you have breaks, and you have lunch and stuff. And so I wasn't, well, at first, you know how people are nice. You go into something and people are nice and they're on their best behavior. I mean, it isn't 100%, of course, but overall, they were all on their best behavior. And then, like, the first time, maybe it wasn't as many people, because some people were still signing up and all that. And second time, and I don't know how long it took, but before long, I'm going to say before long. Not that day, I don't think, but before long, there was definitely a division. Like, people even changed where they were sitting. Like, it was shaped more like a U. The seats, like, I don't know how many on the left and how many on the right, and then there was a little middle part, and the instructor, she was in the front. And I wound up sitting in that little middle part. Not middle, but to the bottom of the U. If you think of a U in a block, you get what I'm saying, I think. But I wound up sitting there, and I think there was one other woman who actually worked at where we were having our meetings, and then I think sometimes it depended. This other woman who, she was kind of like, she wasn't going to be on either side, but they did. The other sides, the legs of this U, they were divided into one type, and then on the other side, another. Now, I'm going to just say it flat out. I'm a social and behavioral scientist. Now, I have a master's degree in sociology, so I'm sitting there, and it was more fresh, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wow. I mean, it was definitely a lot of what I've learned, but here it was in action. And I'm going to flat out say it. I'm going to try not to say it with any kind of bias, but on one side, it was on the left side, it was all I think it was all women. Yeah, it was all women, I'm pretty sure. And that's not part of it. At different ages, but they were these kind of mean girls. One of them, I think she was retirement age. I think she was 65, actually. And she was a big, brawny woman. And but they were mean girls, really, adult mean girls. But they also had a really major negative attitude about anybody who went beyond high school, okay, who earned a degree beyond high school. And they made it, people well aware of it, how they viewed it. And they felt it was kind of like an attitude of, if you do have an education, then you just know how to, or, I probably shouldn't even say, because some people pick up on that, and the next thing you know, there's conspiracy theories. But they made it well known that they just did not like people who were educated. Now, on the other side was, I think it was mainly women, but one man, I know at least one man, and there was another man, I think, and he said, he was, think, had a PhD, something like that, and he just, no. And then another one was a nurse, and she never came back. And anyway, so, there it was, all divided. And the instructor, she had a master's degree too. And she actually came up to me one day, and she made some comments about the students. And it wasn't very appropriate for her to do so, but yeah, I agreed with her. I mean, I didn't say that I agreed with her. I just listened and, listened to her. But yeah, she was basically worried about the type of people that she had to certify. And she wasn't happy, that kind of thing. Memory serves. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. So, okay. So, let's see, I'm saying this thing doesn't stay up. But anyway, plus people are walking around, I don't need to put them on camera. But, so she was, it was such a mind-blowing experience, I guess I could say. And I was not at all prepared for that. I mean, I have a master's in sociology, but the extent to which this was going on was unbelievable. In fact, I call myself a gentle giant. Okay, I'm a strong-bodied woman. I have an adrenal disorder, by the way, but that causes it. And I'm sitting there, I'm a mild-mannered person, but that woman I mentioned, the one that was retirement age, she was still very, people who are 65 aren't like fragile like you might think, but she was so angry that she was about to attack a woman who reminded me of Reba. Yeah, Reba McEntire. Seriously, she was from Oklahoma, and her accent, her look, everything, and she just reminded me of Reba, but a young version of Reba, or younger. And that big woman, the 65-year-old, she looked like she was ready to get up and verbally, not verbally, but physically attack. She had already verbally attacked the woman, the Reba. And I'm sitting there thinking, I would be, what was it, Reba's sidekick's name? That I would be that to this woman, because it scared me. And it scared me for this Reba look-alike kind of thing, kind of person. And I was ready to defend her. That's kind of normal for me, but it was like, really, this is for a certification. This is supposed to be where people, you would think people would act in decent ways because of, I'm not going to say what job they do, but the job would be a requirement for it would be to be good, decent person, not mean girls. Okay, not that type, adult mean girls, and they're going to bully people, and they're going to, but as it turned out after that, when I started, I learned that there was a lot of them out there working. And I remember one of them, she had said something about me, and she was the next oldest, I think she was in her 50s, and she said that I was kissing up, and I'm like, I don't need to kiss up my girl. Girlfriend, I don't need to, but she just had that. They just had that attitude. They're going to they were going to, whatever it took, to say that the other side or other people who are educated are bad, and that they're just getting things because of whatever, whatever reason, not because they're doing the job, doing the work, and it was one of those situations where it was slacker. They were slackers too, type, in some ways, and so they had to throw it all off on the other side. But I want to say it wasn't 100%, but it was. Okay, now, except for these two, the ones that sat next to me, who were kind of like, I'm not getting into all that. But overall, both of them were slackers. Okay, one of them, I shouldn't tell that story, but she was nice. She was a very nice person, but she just didn't want to be involved in it either. So they both kind of sat next to me. All three of us sitting over there. We're not getting involved in this crazy stuff, But to me, it was like sitting there watching a ping pong match. This one would do it, ping pong that one. Oh my goodness, it was something else. But I wanted to give this as a little bit of an example, and I have others, of when a person, doesn't really know what they're walking into. And they're basically meeting people that they've never met in person before, and find out that, whoa, I do not fit in with this group. You see? Just like these other two there, I'm not getting involved, and I'm not getting involved in this one. No, I'm not going to be on this side or that side. Now, I have another experience, like back in the 90s, you could go, and even since the 90s, different times, that there, they had places online. Now we're going to move to online. That was in person. Now online, chat groups, okay, and people actually, like if they were local, chat groups, people would go and meet, and eventually in person, some, but as a group, not as a single. This can be dangerous either way, but as a group, and they meet at a restaurant, somewhere safe. They had, that would seem safe at least, and there would be a bunch of people there, and this kind of thing. And now I have recall, I had that. I did that. There's more than one place back in the 90s, okay, and I'm sure I'm guessing there's been since then, of course. But I don't know how safe it is. I'm not going to suggest anybody do it. But anyway, I walked in, and this one of them, they had, like, it's kind of like YouTube. You have different genres. They had, in the group, they had different people, people from different, kind of like genres, like I said, in different walks of life, different ways, different interests, different hobbies, different focus. It was hundreds of people. The sun is out now, and it's bright in my right eye here. And I'll put this thing down. It just came out like, whoa. Anyway, so I walked in, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't fit in with any of these. I really never did. And I had been to some, like, it was a meetup, I think, and I went in, and nobody spoke to me, nobody at all. And I'm like, whoa, I do not need to be around a bunch of rude people. They had already had their own cliques, okay, their own group, their own, they knew one another, and anybody new, we're not having anything to do with anybody new. That was not good. And over the years, I've had different experiences, like, go to a job. That can happen. And you go in the job, and you're like, I do not fit in with these people. And there might be the whole group might be one certain way, and you're not that way, and they hate you. They're already going to make you the scapegoat, the black sheep, the whatever. They're going to make you the one that they want to make their punching bag, and so forth. Okay, and it can also happen that, you're in your element too. You're not a fish out of water, and you're in, whatever it is, to a classroom or, you know, a business meeting, whatever. Like the business you work for, they send you on these things, and then there's somebody who walks in that's just totally seems out of place, and you know, they just totally seem out of place, and they seem to feel awkward or whatever. I remember one time I was actually in a classroom at graduate level. I think it was graduate level. I need to think about that, but I think so. I don't know. I was a career student, so undergraduate and graduate. But anyway, I was in a classroom and this woman walked in. She was younger, and she came in and she was extremely loud. And, you know, the behaviors, if you look up the behaviors of histrionic, she definitely had those behaviors, some of them. And not one size doesn't fit all, and I'm not diagnosing her. But boy, man, I mean, everyone in the classroom was just like, whoa. But she wanted to make everybody well aware that she was there. But she seemed a bit like maybe she was just not right in the head somehow. Now, she was attending classes at university, so she must be able to, you know, take classes and get accepted and all. But it could have been that she was on medications that she shouldn't have been on, kind of thing. Whatever was the case. But she continued to be that, and she would laugh, and she, you know, laugh, cackle, like, you know, I say. The person teaching the class, I think she was working on her PhD, and or maybe she just got her PhD, and she was filling in for the class, but she had a different job that, you know, was more of a focus. So she was not filling in, but she was she wasn't tenured, or she wasn't a professor yet. Okay, she was just right after she got her PhD, I think. And it was a long time ago. I don't even know how they categorize that now. But anyway, she was kind of like a little bit of a tough, but she was also young, and I was a little older. I was what back then was called non-traditional age student, but I don't think they call it anymore. And she was just around my age, a little older. But anyway, she tried to handle the situation, but I think eventually it was that woman was no longer in that class. She was too disruptive. Seriously, if you have to focus all of your attention onto one student because they're being very disruptive, they cannot be in that class, because you can't do that. Focus all your attention on trying to get someone from. This woman, she would embarrass people. She would just embarrass herself and just talk over people, whatever, to be that center of attention. And But now she walked in and she didn't fit in. Okay, she just didn't fit in. And I mean, this stuff happens. You know, it's like the ugly duckling story. You know, you got to find your own. But and we should say it really shouldn't be that way, but it tends to be that way. Okay, because the whole thing of, you know, people are too many. Not everybody. None of this is everybody. One size doesn't fit all. But there are too many people out there that do. You know, they think in those terms of, if you're not with us, you're against us, and you know that if you're going to be that one person, you know, that's different, we're going to make, like I just said earlier, the black sheep, the scapegoat, the punching bag, and all that kind of stuff out of that person. And you know, like your one person has one. I'm an independent, so I don't have one particular side or some, you know, views. I'm independent of that. And but if it were that, then they want to take all their anger out and they're going to teach you how to be right. You know what? No matter what side it is, okay? Nobody needs to be that person. It's not a good, I mean, some people might be okay with it, but it's just not a really good position to be in. When you know, are that you know, some people call it odd man out, I think, or odd woman out. I think that's the expression for it. But you get what I'm saying. Okay, now that's just part of what I want to talk about. Another part of it is when you say you have been that scapegoat, that black sheep, that the people are trying to take out, their frustrations on you or whatever it is they're doing against you because you're not like them. Okay, the people who would actually, not everybody would do that, but those who actually would, and you are that person that they do this to, and you don't fit in, but it's not like you want to stop doing whatever it is because you're trying to meet your own goals, like like that certification or something. You just kind of don't want to be involved in all of it, but they're going to involve you. Like the woman who told me that I was just kissing up, or she, I don't remember if it was kissing up or whatever she said. Like I couldn't pass the grade without at a master's degree. It was, oh my goodness, she was so pathetic, but and a genius IQ, seriously now. So she was trying. And that's what some people do. The mean girl types, the mean boy types, just different types. They want to take it out on somebody else. They want to take, some want to take the attention away from them, but and put it on somebody else. But there's so much of variety, really. And but I had something I needed to do, so I did that. Next time I did it online. The first time you couldn't do it online, and following classes were all online. And never again would I do something like that. I remember that every time I had to go to one of those classes, I suffered the night before from feeling really down, like a situational depression kind of thing. It was just so, oh no, I have to go there and sit in this, and it was just sitting there in like a, battle zone, and be the person watching it and wondering when something's going to hit me, trying to dodge it, and it was bad. But some things, people need to meet their own goals, so, they have to stick it through, no matter what. Okay, and I think that's, oh my goodness. So they kind of suffer through so they can meet their goals. Hold on. Okay, there must be a school bus or something about to come through. But anyway, it's not telling you to hold on as if. Oh boy. But anyway, so I've done that before. I had to stick something out, even though, that was the last place I wanted to be, and it caused me to be in a funk every time before that. And like today, I have something I have to do that, yeah. But anyway, I could do it another day, but anyway, now, what I was going to is say a person who has been that person who things have been taken out against and everything. Now, there might be an urge for that person to, when they've reached the level of, they've been so insulted and so treated like crap, and, and some would say that it shouldn't be. But I think everybody has that breaking point. And some would say that's their problem, that's their whatever. But when the reality of what was the situation is in their head, and this other side is making them look bad, making them, saying bad things about them, trying every which way to get them, and, not to get what they need, what they, reach their goals and stuff like that, like in a classroom, just making it so difficult for people to stick it through. Like I said, a couple of people left. I think it was actually more than a couple, because they just couldn't handle it, what was going on. Okay, there was way too much activity there, so I had to move, and so you still seeing the sky. I'm just in a different spot, but anyway, I mean, I ride the fence on how I see this. That if a person has been taking that so much, and they're a nice, good, decent person, but at some point they start to realize these are people, and I know we can debate about this. These are people that the person could see it as a, by not saying anything, that they're not taking care of themselves. By not saying anything. And there are other people who would say if they say something, they're just as bad. Or, because what they would say is going to be very negative. It would be very negative against the people who have been attacking them and verbally attacking them. And some would say that the type of person who would do such a thing, is that verbally attack, somebody else, they're not going to ever listen. It doesn't matter. They get a thrill out of, somebody trying to, take up for themselves, because they gang up in numbers, the mean girls, mean boys, that type, the bullies, adult bullies, all these adults. And so it wouldn't make a difference. But in that one person who has been bullied, they might, like I just said, they may feel that they're not taking up for themselves. That it would become like they're just just taking it, and that to them it might seem like it's a weakness. Now they could say that it's a strength to not respond, but at the same time, do this kind of thing repeatedly against them, something like this for a long period of time, makes me think of that complex post-traumatic stress disorder, repeated. And then later on would they say, I should have said something, I should have at least taken up for myself. Whether they laughed or not, whether they thought it was funny or they got a kick out of it, they just thought, oh, now let's gang up on her, let's like a children. Like, well, I'm not even going to say a child. It's an adult bully. It's an adult issue. And, they just haven't matured. Now, but that person would say, at least I took up for myself, verbally took up for myself. See the issue there. There could be, now some people would say this and some people would say that. Now I'm Texan, and I'm not going to say all Texans are this way. Not true, grown up, born and raised Texans. They're all the same. No group is all the same. Come on. But my experience with the Texans I've known is that they believe in taking up for themselves. Okay, verbally. I'm not talking anything that's illegal, anything that's physical, anything, but, and not really try to be abusive, but just to state fact. Okay, the fact of the matter is, but at the same time to take up for themselves. So, anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.